Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Flame Sports Podcast. This week, we're going to have a little bit of a different routine, as I wanted to get this done, but Cream and Dean, unfortunately, are not here as of right now, but hopefully give it a little bit, and they will be back, as they were a little bit busy today, but hopefully they'll be here soon. But instead of going, like normal, like NFL then MLB, today we're going to go with a special routine, going MLB, then to the NBA, which there was a big trade that happened, then to the NFL. So yeah, let's start with the MLB news. At least if you're a Yankees fan, you were very happy yesterday, as not only was it the arbitration deadline, they signed back and signed one big player. So let's start out with the players that that avoided arbitration, which include Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, Gary Sanchez, Luke Voit, Chad Green, Clint Frazier, Giovanni Urshela, and Jordan Montgomery. Now, if you don't know what arbitration is, it's basically when a team and a player can't agree on a salary for that player for that season, and then a hearing is held, with different, like fancy people and all that, fancy terms I'm not going to get into right now, which rule in favor of, what the club, which is the team, or what the player says. So, yesterday or the day before was the day that, those hearings were held and all that, and, so yeah, that means that all those players I just listed will be at least on the Yankees for this year, and then become a free agent, I believe, at the end of next season. Hopefully, if we can sign back Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, Voit, Green, Frazier, Urshela, and Montgomery, I'll be happy. I'd be willing to let Sanchez go, to be honest. I think Higashioka deserves to start at catcher. I'm very surprised we tendered him earlier in the offseason. And we didn't just sign someone like Yadier Molina, who's a great defensive, not going to be a great hitter, but he's great at defense. He's a captain. He's going to be the captain of the field. But anyway, so that means all those guys will be back, which means the Yankees' offense will be as deadly as ever. And speaking of that offense, DJ LeMahieu, La Machine, is coming back to the Bronx. I am so happy. I was in school when the news broke, and I was talking to my friend because, we were done with all our work and all that for that class. I was talking to Kareem, and I just sat back in my chair, and I was like, I'm so happy, because DJ LeMahieu just means so much. He means so much. He's been our best player the past 2 years, been our most valuable player. I don't know where we would be without him. And if you look back at that first year, he wasn't even in the lineup opening day. But anyway, he's back. He'll be here for the next 6 years, that's a little bit more than I would have, wanted to bring him back, because, he is 32 now. If he was 30, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but the fact that he is 32, that would put him at a free agent at his age 38 season, and I don't know, just at that point, how much left in the tank he'll have, that, he'll be good and all that. I do expect him to be, a very, very good player for the next, 3-4 years, that 5th and 6th year might be slightly above average, and then, right at average, a player, but still, it just means so much to us, to the Yankees, that he's back. 6 years, $90 million, and here's the thing, DJ LeMahieu wasn't specifically looking for a specific, length of a contract. He was looking for that specific money. Now, he would have liked, his ideal contract was at least, around 5 years, 5 or 6 years, for around $100 million, if he were to leave the Yankees. But since he wants to be a Yankee, I think he wants to have a chance at a championship, so he was willing to take a price cut, and for an extra year that he wanted, over teams like the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, Dodgers don't need a superstar like him. The Blue Jays could use a superstar like him, but anyway, 6 years, $90 million, I believe almost all of that is guaranteed. We'll be making around $15 million a year, which is underpaying. I was expecting us to pay around $20 ish for him, and then, maybe another team like upwards of 22, 23. Like I said, he was willing to take that price cut to come back. But I'm just so happy. The Yankees needed him back. We would have been a train wreck without him, to be honest, this season, because he's just the guy that holds the team together, because the Yankees need a guy that isn't just strikeout heavy, because you got guys like Sanchez, Judge, Torres, Voit, Stanton, that would just home run or bust. Um, you know, but LeMahieu, he puts the ball in play. He does not strike out almost at all. He's an MVP type player. The last 2 years, he's finished second and then third in MVP voting. And even this year, in 2020, in a year where he missed around the first 2 or so games due to him being on the COVID list, and then around another week and a half in the middle of the season, which I think when that happened, that was when the Yankees started to go down, 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 and that just shows you how much he means to this team. And I think he's an MVP player. He's a Gold Glove player. He's just whatever you can. That's what DJ LeMahieu is. And with his ability to go opposite field, the short porch in Yankee Stadium, I'm just very happy that we got him back. Now, I believe I mentioned this last week. I'm not so sure. But if we didn't sign him back, then I would have liked to sign at least 2 out of these 3 guys. Bring back Didi Gregorius, Michael Brantley, and then I believe there was another guy that I forgot who it was. But, with Brantley's left-handed hitter, all that. But I don't know where they're going to go. I haven't heard much rumors about that. But anyway, continuing on with the Yankees, they signed 2-time Cy Young award winner, Corey Kluber is going to the Yankees, and I will be the first to admit, I was on the phone, I was talking to Cream because we were working on a school project last night and the news broke, and I will be the first to admit, I overreacted way too much. I was like, what are we doing? Why? We don't need another right-handed starting pitcher, which is still how I feel. And then I talked to my dad because, he FaceTimed and all that, and then he brought up a good point. He was like, well, we started him in the bullpen because, he's coming off of 2 straight years off of injury where he just hasn't pitched at all. He pitched 1 inning in 2020. He looked good. He looked relatively good coming off injury. Tore something happened in his elbow. Maybe it was his shoulder. I'm not so sure. And he was shut down for the rest of the season. He had to get Tommy John, I believe. Or maybe that was the 2019. I'm not so sure, like I said. He was shut down for all of 2020. He threw a bullpen session, I believe, like a week and a half ago. Around 25 teams were there. He was throwing 88 to 91 miles an hour. His curveball, all his other pitches looked good. Fastball looked good. Now you do want to get that velocity, maybe, upwards to 90, or like 93, 94, 95, somewhere in that range. But anyway, yeah. But my dad brought up a good point. He was like, you start him in the bullpen, and after a little bit, if he starts doing pretty good out of the bullpen, you can move him to that 6th starter, which is kind of what CC Sabathia was in his final year. It was just give the guys, an extra day of rest, and he's gonna be a good mentor. To be honest, I'm not so sure how much we brought him in to, actually pitch. Now, obviously, he's gonna be a great addition if he can be half of what he was, in 2015, 16, 17, back when he was winning all those Cy Youngs. But that would be amazing. If he can post like a mid-3 ERA, that would be amazing. Give us, close to 150 innings. If he's a starter, if he's a reliever for most of the season, it is what it is. But I think just mostly he's going to be a mentor for guys like Davey Garcia and Clark Schmidt, who are very high up on our prospect list at that pitcher position. Obviously, we saw Davey Garcia last year. He was amazing. He could prove to, move into that number 3, maybe even number 2. It depends on Luis Severino's injury, when he's able to come back and all that. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, Corey Kluber, welcome to the Yankees. 1 year, $11 million, which is a little bit of an overpay, but I think they wanted to overpay him by a little bit, because, it just works out that way because we saved on LeMahieu. Now we can spend a little bit more on guys like, Kluber, and if we wanted to sign another a lefty, I'm not so sure who's out there. Because as of right now, the rotation obviously goes Garrett Cole, then probably Luis Severino. Just making sure everything goes well in his rehab. Then number 3 would probably be Davy Garcia. Number 4 would be Jordan Montgomery. Or you could flip those two just so you can have right, left, right. Yeah. And then number 4 would be Clark Schmidt. And then number 5 would be someone else. Maybe you do start Kluber. Depends on how he does in spring training. Because if he looks like he can start and he wants to start, then sure, plug him in at that number 5. And then just depending on how he does, he can work his way ahead of guys like Schmidt and Garcia and Montgomery. But just my whole thing is we need another lefty. I'm not super sure. I don't think there are any great lefties out there. But, you could always trade for someone. Maybe not, you aren't looking for that another ace like Garrett Cole or Luis Severino. You're just looking for that middle-of-the-road guy that like number 3 or 4 starter. You can just plug in there. He's going to give you 5-6 innings. Let the bullpen do the rest. You still obviously have Chapman, Ottavino, guys like that. No Canely, however, but that's why I think that's what I think the Yankees need to do. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would sign back James Paxton, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Because if you do, that's one of the possibly nastiest rotations in the MLB. You got Cole, Severino, Kluber, Schmidt, Garcia, Paxton. There's just no way you're stopping that. And that was the whole thing 2 years ago. We did not have a great pitching staff. And now we've built up the offense. We've signed DJ LeMahieu. We've gotten Luke Voit. Urshela has been amazing. Now if we can just work on that pitching staff and just get it to a championship level, we are the favorites to win the World Series. And even as of right now, it's a very close to who is the favorite for the World Series. As of right now, I still believe it is the Dodgers, but who knows? Maybe Yankees, they sign one more guy. Maybe they bring in a guy like Brantley to play in the outfield or even DH. Or if we trade Stanton for a left-handed pitcher, because honestly, we don't need Stanton. Because what we could do, we could trade Stanton, get a left-handed starting pitcher. His money is off our books. We get a cheap young guy. Then we sign Brantley. So you would have Brantley in left or Frazier in left, Hicks in center, Judge in right, and then either Brantley or Frazier or someone at DH. And then Brantley just adds another left-handed bat. You get rid of a right-handed bat in Stanton. You bring in a left-handed bat in Brantley, and that lineup is amazing. Because Stanton obviously has been hurt the past 2 years, and that's gonna be the whole thing with the Yankees this year. Is if they can stay healthy, because 2019, the whole mentality was next man up. Whether it was Judge, whether it was Stanton, whether it was Hicks, whether it was Voit, whether it was Sanchez, whoever it was. Because obviously Troy was one of the only guys not to get hurt. Whether it was those guys who got hurt, and then, guys like Tauchman, Frazier, Mike Ford even had to play a lot in 2019. And even this year, I just think if we can stay healthy, we will be the favorites to win the World Series, and we will have a good shot at winning our first World Series since 2009, which is just amazing, because, obviously, you can chalk one up, another one onto the list of 27, and hopefully we can start the 2020s off right in 2021. In other news, the Chicago White Sox sign left-handed closer Liam Hendricks to a 3-year, $54 million contract with an option for 2024. So obviously 2021, 2022, and 2023 are the 3 years in his contract, but that 4th-year option for $15 million, holy moly, this man is getting the big bucks, just making it rain, wherever he will be, in Chicago, and, I personally think they overpaid for him a little bit. Obviously, they were gonna lose, I forgot his name, their reliever closer that they had. They make a very big upgrade, because while He was good. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name here. Well, he was a very good closer, very underrated. Liam Hendricks is one of the best in the game. You get a guy who is like always pumped. He showed in the playoffs. Like I think in one game in the playoffs he went 3 innings, and then the next day he came out off like no days rest. He'd thrown like 50 pitches the day before, then threw another like 20 or so, to get the save in the playoffs. And I just think that shows his dedication. He's gonna be a leader. He's gonna be a guy in that bullpen who can teach the young guys like Garrett Crochet, and all that. So, but yeah. Now, if they do decide to decline that 4th-year option in 2024, it would be paid, that $15 million would be paid out equally in the next 10 years, or 9 years, 2024 to 2033. That's ridiculous. Like, imagine it's gonna be like Bobby Bonilla every day for the next 9 years. You just get a check for like $1.5 million. You're like, thank you very much for that. So anyway, that's gonna do it for all like the contracts and all that. Now the big names are about 15 or so, maybe not 15, around 12 or so on this list that avoided arbitration. Means that they will be under contract this year, and yeah. So anyway. Big names include Javier Baez, who had a down 2020, but he has shown 2018, 2019 that he is an MVP player. Finished second in voting, I believe, in 2018. Cody Bellinger, another player with a down 2020, but obviously 2019 won the NL MVP over Christian Yelich. He's just a special player. So athletic out in center field. He should stay with the Dodgers for a long time. Chris Bryant, another Cub that had a down 2020. Really, the Cubs as a whole had a down 2020. He will be with the Cubs next year. But however, they could trade him, and then you just never know, because his name has been one of the leading in trade rumors for a couple of years, for like the past year and a half, 2 years. Never know where he could end up. Maybe a team that just needs that firepower. Another player, Matt Chapman, another third baseman for the A's this time. Great defensive player. One of the best defensive third basemen in the game. Platinum glove level. He hits pretty well too. He'll be in Oakland for at least this year. Should stay there for a while. Michael Conforto, another a young guy for the Mets, outfielder. I think he's very good. He's very underrated in my opinion. Can play either of those corner outfield spots, or even if they decide to bring back the universal DH, he could even DH a little bit. He should, and with the Mets that kind of just skipped their rebuild, because in 2015 they made the World Series and all that. And then they started decline, and now with Steve Cohen, all the money in the world. Like, I thought, if they would be good in another 2 years, but no, they were just jumping the gun here. Just got out Lindor and Carrasco, bringing back Conforto. So yeah, I think that's a good move. Lucas Giolito threw a no-hitter. Granted, it was versus one of the worst teams in the MLB this past year against the Pirates, but anyway, he is a very good pitcher. Low 3, maybe high 2 ERA type of guy, that number 1 or 2 for the White Sox. I honestly think all of these guys should stay with their team for a long time. Next guy, Teoscar Hernandez for the Toronto Blue Jays, had a breakout 2020, unlike so many other guys on this list. It was 5th in the league for home runs and all that. Part of that young Blue Jays team that's going to be very exciting to watch, with Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez. Maybe if they land Springer or even Bauer, that could be big for them. But yeah, Teoscar Hernandez avoids arbitration, will be under contract this year. Corey Seager getting paid the big bucks out in LA for the Dodgers. Won the NLCS MVP and World Series MVP. One of the best shortstops in the game, in my opinion. easily top 10. Could make the argument for top 5. No way he's top 3 in my opinion, though. Definitely number 5 or 6 on my list. Next guy, Trey Turner, another very good shortstop. He's definitely top 5 in my opinion. Could make the argument for top 3. So fast, so athletic. He started hitting for power last year, too, on that weak Nationals team, other than him and Soto in that lineup, which is another guy who avoided arbitration for the Nationals, along with Josh Bell, a newly acquired first baseman. All those 3 guys will be under contract for the Nationals, and they definitely need to re-sign Turner and Soto. Those 2 guys are the faces of their franchise. Josh Bell, I'm not so sure what they're gonna do with him, because maybe this is just like a 1-year thing. And you're like, all right, if you do good, we'll bring you back. If not, you can hit free agency, see if you just need to play somewhere else. Because obviously, I had a down 2020 and a down second half to 2019 after looking possibly like MVP like in 2018. I believe that was the year. Josh Hader, one of the best closers in the game for the Milwaukee Brewers, also will be under contract this year. Great, amazing deal for the Brewers. After a down 2020 with Christian Yelich obviously hitting like below 200, I believe, right around 200. Josh Hader kind of imploded. He was amazing to start like first 50 games in the last 10. He was not amazing. But yeah, we all know how good Josh Hader is. Helped the Brewers get to the NLCS 2 years ago. So yeah, we all know how good he is. Rhys Hoskins, first baseman / outfielder / DH for the Phillies if they decide to bring that to the National League, which they should. I think, and if they do, I think not Trey Mancini, who's next on the list, but Rhys Hoskins will DH for the Phillies if they decide to bring that back. I think Rhys Hoskins, he's another type of guy that's home run or bust or strikeout. But yeah, I think he's very good. He's very strong, very big, very physical. So, I think the Phillies, if they can just re-sign JT Realmuto, which I don't think they will be able to, but if they can, and then get that bullpen together, which is why I think they should have pursued a guy like Liam Hendricks a lot more than they did. I did not hear a single rumor of him going there, which is just blasphemy. I don't know why the Phillies, who had the worst bullpen by far last year, didn't try to go out and get one of the best relievers in the game. It baffles me. But anyway, Hoskins is coming back to the Phillies. Next guy, a true inspiration, Trey Mancini, battled, I believe it was colon cancer, and beat it. He is back, hitting and all that. But he'll be back for the Orioles and a young team at that, with Anthony Santander, Rio Ruiz, Renato Nunez, Pedro Severino, and then obviously Adley Rutschman, one of the best catcher prospects in the MLB right now. That pitching staff will need a little bit of help, but anyway, Trey Mancini, outfielder DH, for the Orioles, will be back next year. However, these players could not avoid arbitration. And one last guy that I forgot to mention is newly acquired Francisco Lindor, getting the big bucks, $22.3 million, this upcoming season, and well deserved. Could be the best shortstop in the game. Just depends on how you want to look at it. But anyway, players that could not avoid arbitration, which means that that they could not get a deal done and will have to sign a multi-year deal, because arbitration, when you sign that contract, it is a 1-year deal for that year and that year only. And so that means that these players that I'm about to list off will have until the start of the season to to sign a multi-year contract with their teams. So yeah, starting with Shohei Ohtani, the two-way player for the Angels, I personally think they will get a deal done. My opinion, most of these guys, they should, and I think they will, because they just mean so much to their team. But yeah, Shohei Ohtani, two-way player, very special player, still should not have won the 2018 AL Rookie of the Year over Miguel Andujar and or Gleyber Torres. Still baffles me why he had like a 4.5 ERA. But anyway, next guy, Next couple of guys are going to be pitchers: Mike Soroka, Jack Flaherty, and Walker Buehler for the Braves, Cardinals, and Dodgers, respectively. All three of these guys are aces of their team. If you still say it's Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers, I don't know what you're saying, but anyway, these three guys, they need to come back. They just mean so much to their team. So yeah, Jack Flaherty needs to go back to the Cardinals. Mike Soroka needs to go to the Braves, and Walker Buehler needs to go back to the Dodgers. Because if they don't, and then they sign with another team, it's just gonna be a mess for those teams. Obviously, the Braves still have Max Fried, but after that, they have no one. And for a guy coming off injury like Mike Soroka, I think the Braves need to sign him back. They need to give him a second chance. Jack Flaherty, another guy that had it down 2020. Cardinals, we all seen what this kid can do in 2019. But yeah, Cardinals need to bring him back. He was their ace and will be for a long time, hopefully, for if you're a Cardinals fan. And then Walker Buehler. Now, while they could get by without him, they need him. He is top 5, top 10 starting pitcher in the MLB. And he just means so much to that team. And if they don't sign him back, then that's a problem. Because then you have Kershaw, then you have Urias or I don't even Dustin May at number 2. It would just be a mess. They need him. He holds that team together. But anyway, next guy, Anthony Santander with a breakout 2020. Unlike many players, but for the Orioles, they need to bring him back. Just imagine, because if they don't, that's just a problem. He had a 18-game hitting streak at one time during the season. Anthony Santander, he could turn out to be a top 10, top 5 left fielder / DH in the MLB. He was on a rampage last year. And if the Orioles can't get a deal done with him and he leaves to a team that needs a lefty, cough, cough, Yankees, cough, cough, I just see a big problem with that, because then the Orioles are a young team that could, in a couple of years, have a chance on winning the AL East. But if they don't get Anthony Santander, it's back into rebuild mode for them. Next guy, Carlos Correa for the shortstop for the Astros. I don't like this guy one bit. He practically defended the Astros cheating, which just absolute, I don't even know what to say about that. But anyway, I think Carlos Correa he's obviously a very good shortstop. We all know that. Despite the cheating, he was average in 2020. He was one of the better Astros on offense, but but guys like Michael Brantley and Kyle Tucker did beat him out. But anyway, I think he needs to return to the Astros, keep his toxicity on one team. Don't let that branch out to other teams. But yeah, that's really gonna do it for the arbitration side of things. And now for the trades, I believe these ones happened last week, but with the Lindor trade, I just kind of forgot about them, to be honest. The Padres, they lose Mike Clevenger for the year due to Tommy John surgery, but they just casually go pick up 2 top 15 pitchers in the MLB, arguably top 10. Yu Darvish coming off one of his best seasons in his career in 2020. So Darvish and Victor Caratini, who is an underrated player in that deal. I think because in 2019 he was pretty good. 2020 didn't get barely any playing time, but when he does, he proved himself to be a right around average player for the Cubs. But now he's gonna be on the Padres with Yu Darvish. This was just a prospect dump for the Padres. The Padres are in a win now mode while they still have Tatis, Machado, Lamet, Moreland, Austin Nola, and all these guys that under contract, but they are obviously in a win now mode. They were just dumping prospects at this point. They traded Luis Patino, Francisco Mejia, and just other not top prospects in the organization, but prospects that could turn out to be very good as they are, top 50, top 50, that makes sense, or top 30 in their team. But then another guy going to the San Diego Padres, Slam Diego Padres, Blake Snell, former 2018 AL Cy Young Award winner with the Tampa Bay Rays, the Padres, and now you look at that Padres rotation. I think they have the best rotation on paper. You go Lamet, Darvish, Snell, they traded Zach Davies. I forgot about that. But anyway, it's just, that 1-2-3 punch is just unbelievable. Man, I just don't think anyone can compete. And to be honest, the Padres are making a chase for that NL West title. And they're putting together a very good roster, because you look around in that roster, maybe there's like 1 or 2 weaknesses, and maybe that's the outfield and then the middle of the rotation, which is very possible. I could see why you would say that. Padres are making a change, pursuing that chase to have one of the best rotations on paper in the MLB, and by getting Yu Darvish and Blake Snell, that obviously adds to that talented list of players, like I mentioned earlier: Dinelson Lamet, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Mitch Moreland, Austin Nola, Kirby Yates. The list just goes on and on with the Padres. They were good last year. They were close. Not really, because the Dodgers swept them. But I just think adding these two guys just means so much for them. And then the last thing I want to talk about is JT Realmuto. You know how I said a couple weeks ago that the Phillies didn't have any money, or there was a report around a month ago that the owner was like, yeah, no, we basically just don't have money anymore. But anyway, they offered JT Realmuto a 5-year deal with the money being in the 9 figures. And if you don't know that is in the $100 million range. That is absurd. JT Realmuto is obviously the best catcher in the league. But then you look at DJ LeMahieu, who's getting $90 million. And then JT Realmuto is gonna be getting 100 plus, and you're like, wow. It just puts into perspective either how much the Yankees robbed DJ LeMahieu, or how much the Phillies are going to overspend on JT Realmuto, even though they are nowhere close to winning that division when you have the Mets. Never thought I'd say that. The Mets, the Braves, the Marlins were a young and up-and-coming team. The Phillies, you could sign Yadier Molina for a lot less, for a lot less. And then, improve that bullpen, which is, should be your main focus. I think their priorities go JT, bullpen, when it should go bullpen, JT, because if you don't improve that bullpen, your offense may be able to score 5 runs a game, and your rotation is only going to give up 3 runs a game, but your bullpen is going to give up 20 runs a game. And that's obviously an overstatement, but their bullpen is just so bad. They need to improve on it, and if they don't, in the next year or two, they are in for a lot of trouble. So anyway, that's going to do it for the MLB portion, and I'm going to make a cut right here because Cream and Dean are still not ready. So we'll see you in the NFL portion.